I hope that everyone had a good weekend. I understand that, we can be faced with a lot over the weekend. A lot of things come at us. A lot of us have projects going on in multiple directions. But, it's good because we made it. We're managing moment by moment, day by day. And so this week, as always, I have some very special guests coming up to talk about various topics. Today, before I bring my special guest out, I just kind of wanted to share with you a little small idea that I had. And, I try to give my children healthy snacks. We juice, and try to eat mostly plant-based items. But I found those little popsicle makers. How you make those popsicles. And I thought about, well, if I could blend in a healthy fat, right, into their popsicles, make a berry blend, but add a little bit of avocado and see how that turns out. So I will definitely be trying that this week, doing the berry blend and freezing it with a little bit of blended avocado and see if the kids like it, and I'll keep you posted. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Simeon Gant. Hello, Simeon. How are you? Unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. All right.
Okay. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We are not in the hundreds yet. It's not noon though, so we'll see how that works. In the 100 plus.
All right. Okay.
So, tell everyone who is watching who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me, Christina, on your show. And my name is Simeon Gant, and I am the executive director of an organization called Green Technical Education and Employment. And we are a nonprofit here in Sacramento, California. We're in the state capital of one of the largest states in the nation, with the largest economy. And, one of the things, after having worked in the legislature for many years, watching all the budgets, all the money that's being moved around, I recognized that there was a lot of nonprofits out here that are engaged in helping our youth. And I also noticed that very few of them were helping youth of color. I noticed very few of them were helping Black kids. And then the few that were helping Black kids weren't getting nearly as much of this money that's coming through our state legislature as our white counterparts. And so, after spending about 15 years in the legislature, both working in policy and communications, and then coming out and doing some lobbying work for different organizations, including the union, SEIU, social justice organizations. After doing all of that, I thought, let me try and let me go ahead and put together a program to help our young people really learn how to kind of get developed physically and mentally, get developed from a workforce perspective, and just try to figure some things out that, they may not get out of school.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so, it was a recession, 2008. And I recognized that a lot of the folks, it was tripping me out because folks were looking for work, but they were looking for work in the newspaper. I'm like, well, we're in a whole new world. There's a whole new way of doing things, right? And so also having worked in the legislature, there was a bill that came out called AB 32. And it was called the Global Warming Solutions Act. And when that bill came out, after doing some research and looking at, I read this book by Van Jones, The Green Collar Economy. I recognized things were changing fast. Yep. And one of the things that I recognized was that in construction and in transportation and in manufacturing and overall managing our environment, we're doing things differently, specifically also in the utilities industry. We're doing things differently. We're drilling less for fossil fuels, right? We're getting our energy and electricity from renewable energy. And these jobs are changing really fast. And I thought we should make sure that our kids know about this.
Yes.
So you see, and so I created an organization specifically to inform our youth about the changing economy, right?
And that's, I have to just touch on everything that you said is factual, because I graduated with my master's in business in 2008, and then there was a recession.
Right.
And I was one of those people that were like scouring ads, like, what am I going to do now, right? And had I known all of what I know today, then I would have been one of those people saying, I'm going to create my own organization to do something. The supply chain had changed, and a lot of people didn't know it, but I knew. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so I totally appreciate the value in what you're saying. Just looking at the changes that are upcoming, and then being able to present something to our youth, to the children that look like us, that need an opportunity to be able to be successful. So I so appreciate that.
Yeah, it's and it's really kind of ultimately what it ended up becoming, green tech, and we're still growing. It's been 11 years now, and what it kind of turned out to be is a lot of folks might recall having a shop class when they were in high school, right? Mechanics, yes, and shop building and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of that went unfunded, right? So now you've got a lot of our young people, we're still saying, hey, go to college, go to college, go to college. And when they don't go to college, then what?
Right. Exactly.
Stuck, right? Stuck, running the streets, kind of doing things, right? Just trying to figure out what to do. And so what was lost are the trades, picking up a skill, right? Knowing how to use tools, knowing how to name and identify what a miter saw versus a flathead screwdriver, right? And so what we're doing at Green Tech is kind of presenting the workforce and workforce ethics to our young people. And so we bring them out. We have some property here in Sacramento, and we bring them out and we teach them how to, we start off with landscaping, how to, simply mow the lawn. And we do agriculture. We teach them how to grow their own food. Then we also teach them woodwork, how to build planter boxes, right? We even teach them some entrepreneurial skills. When we grow the carrots, okay, now what do you do with this? You have a product now that you can actually sell, right? Now, how do you market that, right? And when you make the planter boxes, okay, now what do you do with the planter box? Well, you can actually sell this. It's a product that you've created. So we teach them entrepreneurial skills as well as workforce ethics. And that's
an added value to the community, because now you've developed a community farmer market, right?
That's right.
And those are necessary.
Definitely.
You know where you're at, or it doesn't matter where you're at. You need to have that local community farmers market. It's just
absolutely. We do most of our work in a variety of communities in Sacramento, but they're mostly low-income communities with people of color, Black folks. But of course, in the communities now, we're surrounded by also low-income Latinos, Latinas, and Asian, Southeast Asian. So we're all together in Oak Park and in Del Paso Heights. And these are communities in Sacramento that have been blighted and disregarded for years. And so we are now growing vegetables in these communities. Of course, you may have heard of food deserts, right? And so there's not a grocery store, within certain amount of miles. And there's a lot of convenience stores with a lot of sugar and salt, right?
You about to get me triggered, my brother, because let me tell you, just talking about I call it the dark ages, presenting people like me when I was little, watching those Lucky Charms commercials, watching those tricks. Everybody gets a reward in the box.
Right.
Never telling anyone that you're going to be hooked on sugar, you're going to have diabetes. eat those tricks in the morning. Then when the ice cream truck comes in the afternoon, let's just go get that treat, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
why weren't vegetables and fruit as readily available and offered in such a pretty package? Like, let's bite this apple, and guess what? You're gonna get, some life added to you by doing that, right?
Exactly.
Why does it have to
Nutrients.
be the Cracker Jacks box
Right.
that we're
Yeah.
looking for?
I
And so
always
I
like to
felt
say, when I was young watching Fat Albert, when the commercial come on, here come Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid,
right.
right? Full of sugar, right? Mind-boggling. But that Green Tech, what we're doing is teaching them how to build these planter boxes and teaching them about soil science, teaching them about the nutrients in that soil that helps create these leafy lettuces, that helps create these broccoli, helps to create carrots, right? And when the students get a chance to actually do it themselves, and then they're incentivized, right, to eat the right thing. One of the things that we do, because we know that young people aren't automatically drawn to these good, healthy, nutritious foods. They're drawn to sugar.
Right.
So what we try to do is if we're teaching them and we're training them workforce ethics, then we want to be able to provide at least a stipend to these young people, because they're coming from low-income communities, very families who are struggling financially. And so the young people, they're prioritizing their pockets, right?
Yes.
And so basically at Green Tech, we apply for grants, we apply for contracts, we have fundraisers. We do what we can to bring our money in to pay for tools and supplies, to pay for the people who are helping us train these young people, and most importantly, to provide these students with stipends, money to put in their pocket, so that one, they can get on the bus and get there. Two, they might want to grab some healthy vegetables that might cost a few dollars, or simply, really, a lot of these young people are using those stipends to help their family. They're taking some of that money back home to mama.
And what a better way to uplift the community while developing the youth, because really they could fall into the hands of something worse to try to get money that they need.
Right.
But they're putting forth that workplace development and that those work ethics, actually having a lifelong skill. I remember when there used to be ROP. Well, that was gone. I don't even know how long ago. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, really, that's the road to entrepreneurship, because they have a lifelong skill that they can take with them, and not just a lifelong skill, but they're actually understanding how to live well, right?
That's right.
Healthy life. So go ahead and talk about what you have on the screen.
Yeah, no, so that you're right. They have a lifelong skill that they can use. And so, and you're right. It used to be ROP, or they used to call it vocational education. And now they've changed the language a little bit. They call it career technical education. And they have that at some of the schools, but not all the schools. And so, like I was saying before, we're bringing vocational and career tech education to the low-income communities, and saying, you guys, you may not get it at your school, but you can definitely get it here. And so here is what I just showed. There was our property in Oak Park, and those were the planter boxes that we have the students build on our property. Here is a student, one of our first early students back in 2009 and 10, and we're teaching him here how to install solar panels. And so when we talk about going green, we tell the students, look, it's a new world. And now what we're trying to do is get energy from renewable sources. So what I learned early is that, the vocabulary is changing, right? Now we're talking about renewable energy. We're talking about reducing our carbon footprint. And we're talking to our young people about this so that they can be ahead of the game.
Yes.
Right. And, now they can go tell their parents what carbon footprint is, right? Or they can tell an employer when they're getting ready to go get a job what renewable energy is, because that's what the future is holding for us.
That's amazing. That is a valuable, those skills are valuable. That education, that knowledge are very valuable just to prepare them for their future and to be able to shift the narrative of communities and what that's going to look like, and actually sees it as an opportunity to do that. So.
Absolutely. And we do leadership development as well. This is a speech by one of our students talking about global warming.
And I don't know if we'll be able to hear. Yeah.
So it's too low?
Well, I can't. Okay.
That's okay.
Well, you know, before we even, everyone that's watching can see that you have this Facebook page, right? Green Tech Education, right? And so they could definitely go there and search through the videos or the posts to be able to look at all the wonderful things that these young people are doing. I value the fact that you are giving them a stipend. You recognize, you know, that there is a need and you're meeting it. What age groups do you have working with you, as far as how young and how old can they be?
Sure. So our average age group is 16 to 21.
Great.
And so a lot of the students, they're, you know, sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. You know, it varies from kind of what level, but one of the things is, like this young man here on the screen, he was 19 when he came to us, and he was still in high school, and he was having a tough time.
Right.
He was going to what they call out here the court and community school, which in other places they might call it continuation school. And one of the things was, when he met us, was, well, I just want to work. I just want to work. And I let him know, well, you can get a fast food job or a retail job, and, you know, it might be a good start, but you can get some training and come to Green Tech and pick up some skills to get a higher paying job with a future and a career opportunity. And so he was coming out regularly, and he was pretty consistent, and he was really getting the training that he needed, but he was still kind of slacking in his education. He hadn't got his high school diploma yet. So the young woman in the back there in the black and yellow, her name is Crystal. She works with Green Tech. I said, Crystal, let's make sure that Collis is finishing his books. And so as a counselor, she called, she hounded him, she stayed on him, and Collis finally got it done. You know, he started out dragging his feet.
Shout out to you, young man. And you look at the smile on his face, you know, that's amazing. She's smiling, and it's just a win-win for them. And, you know, I feel like we talk about the school to prison pipeline and all these other things, and here's a solution right here that you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Most definitely. You know, it's just about focus. There's a lot of programs. We know there's a lot of programs out here. But I think it's really a matter of trying to figure out how to connect with what's going on in these folks' mind, because what happens is, as adults, we think, you know, we know what they should be doing, right? And so we got to figure out how to meet them where they are, right? Instead of just saying, go to college and that's it.
Right.
Well, that's not realistic, right? You know, and so.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I use that example that we're talking about in the beginning, where there's people like me that went all the way to, you know, the master's, and then 2008, boom, here's the recession, and you have an MBA. What you gonna do now, right?
Right.
I had to fall back on some skills.
Right.
This is beyond skill. This is like it's like all in one package: entrepreneurship, community development, workforce development, and lifelong wellness. Let's not forget that, right? And so
definitely
sustainability. So it's amazing.
Because I often will talk to our students about diabetes.
Yes.
I talk to our students about congestive heart failure. I talk to our students about obesity.
Yes.
Because when we give them the stipend, you know, they're quick to go to the corner store and I really kind of let them know that, we're out here growing fruit and vegetables, and that these are high in nutrients, and you guys, we can get creative in how we prepare these high nutrient food. Like you and I had a good conversation about making smoothies, right?
Right.
You make those smoothies right. It's better than Kool-Aid any day of the week.
Anything's better than Kool-Aid, my brother. Let me tell you, that sugar is, and I'm about to say something hard that a lot of people are not going to want to hear, but if I can get the one person out of 100, then sometimes you got to leave the 99 for the one. And so that sugar is a killer. A lot of people sit there and say, oh, well, crack infiltrated our community. No, sugar is right there, readily available, more than crack. Those Takis and hot Cheetos and all the dye. And I mean, think about when you try to take away sugar from your children, what happens, right?
Right.
And that will let you know how addictive it is. Just that sugar, those carbs, just that processed foods. And we're talking about good development of your body, of your mind, of your brain. And like I said, I had my period of time that I was in the dark ages. I call it the dark ages. But I came out of that because my parents laid a good foundation. My grandfather had a garden in our backyard. And so every day when it was time to eat, I noticed that he would go straight to the backyard. And if it was greens, he picked greens. If it was squash or zucchini or carrots or whatever he grew, we utilized that. And so I was able to get myself out of that sugary, rushy type of nasty, toxic cycle because I remember the foundations that were laid. So this is actually very important.
Absolutely. Most definitely. Well, like you said, it's the foundation, right? And the reality is the sooner we come out of the dark ages, the better, right? Because some of the damage could get done early when it comes to an excessive amount of sugar and salt in our systems. African Americans, as we know, have a high propensity for high blood pressure, right? And so that excessive salt and the fried foods just doesn't help the situation. And so, and I know that, we say this a lot, we talk about this a lot. And the other thing that I'm really concerned about is that as parents, we want to please our children, right? We want them to be happy. And sometimes we think that feeding them things that they like, that they're addicted to, we feel like that's pleasing them and making them happy. The sugar, the candy, the ice creams, when we do that at an excessive level, we're actually doing the exact opposite, and we're really hurting them in bigger ways. So that's a challenge that's prevalent in probably most communities, but we have that issue in our community, and we have to kind of rethink that.
Oh yeah, definitely going to be some work, but it's doable. I had gotten attacked by some maybe well-intentioned or well-meaning parents telling me that because I didn't want to give my kids cupcakes and juice boxes at a party, that was abusive. And I said, no, that's not abusive. I'm not abusing my kids by denying them cupcakes. There's occasions where I may give them one, but I'm looking at all of these things, and now my kids know if they eat certain things, they're going to pay a consequence because their stomach's going to hurt, right? And their body's telling them, like, you know what, we can't do this.
Right.
But it's important. It's very important.
Absolutely.
So people, what is one of your biggest challenges entering into the community with such an innovative type of organization and forward-thinking, program that you have for children of color and people that look like us, especially Black people?
Well, some of the challenges are pretty much what we just talked about, is kind of convincing folks that healthy, nutritious eating is important, and bigger challenges, where, like you mentioned earlier, we're covering a lot, right? The workforce, health, entrepreneurship. We're covering a lot. So getting the team to really understand, you know, that the young folks, that we got to meet them halfway, that, you know, as adults, we're thinking that it should only be done this way and this way only. That's a big challenge.
Right.
You know, getting funding to cover those costs is always a big challenge, right? You want to, you know, I know that we're kind of used to volunteers kind of running nonprofits, but, you know, in this day and age, that's almost unrealistic, right? Certainly, I believe in having volunteers, but if you want to get high quality, dedicated, committed people to spend the time to kind of help, you know, guide our young people, you're gonna have to pay them, you know. And so, getting the funds to do that, the materials, as you see here, they're built. We were building a shed right here. Those solar panels cost money. To the right there is what we call aquaponics system. All those materials cost money. And so, and then making sure that the kids, the students have the stipend, all of that, it costs. So that's, you know, that's always a challenge. But you know, I think we have good direction at Green Tech. And part and parcel is like doing all these different things is just as good as it is bad, right? Because it's good in the sense that we qualify for a lot of different funding streams. A lot of folks feel like we're Green Tech, they're just going for that cap and trade money, the environmental money. Well, we're going for a little bit of that, yes. But we're also going for a career technical education money. We're also going for workforce development money and funding. We're going for youth education funding. I mean, it's just, you know, we do a lot of several different things, right? There's a lot of forestry. We do urban forestry, which is essentially taking care of trees, planting trees, and knowing how to prune the trees and all that sort of thing, which is a little different from the urban agriculture funding, which is very different from workforce development or construction funding. And we do solar. We do solar energy efficiency, and we also do computer programming, robotics, and that sort of thing. So, you know, there's funding streams from different foundations.
Right. And, you know, you're absolutely right that it's almost non-negotiable right now to run a nonprofit and have volunteers and you don't pay people, right? I mean, you guys are producing stipends for the children. You know, there are those dedicated people that do give up their time, but not at the consistency and that you would need to operate this type of, you know, education and employment opportunity. And so what is your biggest victory and where do you guys see yourselves going future-wise since COVID, you know, came in and
Right, yeah. We, you know, I've been fortunate to have, you know, a few victories, right? Watching several of our students graduate from high school, that's been a big victory for me because a lot of them were on a path to just dropping out. So that's been huge. We had a project back in 2012 called the Solar Suitcase Project. And it was a project where we had the students build these portable lighting systems. And the portable lighting systems are powered by solar panels. And so the students got a chance to, the American students got a chance to build and learn a little bit about circuitry, electrical circuitry, and solar technology. And then when we were done with these projects, we would send them to Africa and to Haiti, where they actually needed these lights because the light was unreliable there. So we actually helped people in other countries from the projects that we did here. And, you know, securing the money, that was a victory to be able to do that. Getting the students to learn this process and to learn something about solar and to help other people who are poorer than they are, that was a victory. And then to actually get those lights to those other countries where we could see that where they needed them, especially in Haiti. It was, you know, after the earthquake, it was amazing, right? Because they needed those lights. In one instance, we got video back where they were using the lights to conduct dental procedures on young people who needed their dental procedures, but they couldn't do it without the light that we provided. So that was a big victory back then. Today, we're working on a electric car project.
Nice.
And we just acquired some property in Del Paso Heights in Sacramento. It's a low-income neighborhood. And, you know, the electric vehicle movement in California is big right now. And, you know, the goal is to reduce the amount of emissions in the atmosphere. We know that Black folks are living around freeways and places where the emissions are high. So
Right.
we're having issues with asthma and breathing. And so pushing for electric cars is supposed to reduce the emissions in the atmosphere. And they would have normally put this project in high affluent neighborhoods, but I forced them to say, we're going to put it right here in Del Paso Heights.
That's right, my brother.
That's what we're going to do.
Right.
And, you know, reluctantly, they agreed.
Right.
And so now we're in the process of, we've just got some of our permits. We're going to get these hydrogen fuel cell vehicles first, and then electric cars second. We're going to build out the property, and then we're going to go pick up people in our community and take them where they need to go.
I appreciate you, my brother. And if you could, you know, you know I do. And so thank you for sharing this valuable information and for creating this amazing organization to uplift the community, help our children so that they have a future and a hope. I value this. If you could tell people where they can find you or how they can find you and get in contact with you for more questions, if they have them, that would be great.
Certainly. So what I have up here now is our website, which is greentech.edu.org. And our phone number is here, our email address is there, and our mailing address is there.
And I see the student applications there also, which is great. My daughter is 14, and in 2 years, we might have to just come visit Sacramento.
Absolutely.
And not just for a strike, right? Like,
right. Thank you. Yes, not just for a strike. Yeah, Christina, I have to say, I really appreciate the work that we've done striking for parents and for our young people that you and I have done in the state capitol in Sacramento. You know, that's one of the things about the Capitol and where all the money flows is if you don't stand up and show up, they'll just run all over us.
Oh, yeah. I've been right there with you sometimes, brother. And you know, it's like we gonna show up if we have to, but hopefully somewhere down the line you'll realize that let's just go ahead and collaborate, meaningful collaboration, so that we don't have to show up this way. But we will show up if we have to, right?
That's right.
So I appreciate the, you know, just the productivity and the outcomes. Thank you so much. Do you have a final thought or word that you'd like to share with the parents and the people watching?
You know, I think as parents, just continue to be diligent. We know right from wrong, and I know it gets tough. In this COVID, it's now even tougher, right? And then, you know, find a way to take a deep breath, and, you know, take a walk and come back and say, you know, I'm going to make sure that my child doesn't fall too far behind. You know, I think that there's understanding in this era, this COVID era, that there's going to be a level of fallback and uncertainty more than anything. But it's left up to us to kind of figure out how far back or how far we're going to be able to continue to help our young people advance by just trying to stay diligent and helping our young people get on that computer. That's where it's at right now. It's all on the computer. You know, set a time, set a schedule. You know, I'm not saying anything you don't already know, but I'm saying we got your back. Let's keep pushing.
Right.
And thank you, parents, for the work that you're doing.
And, you know, I'm so thankful to grandparents too. I mean, you know, a lot of us are raising generations, and that's okay, right? This is pouring into them something that they will be able to see in their future. And so don't lose hope. I agree with my brother Simeon. You know, it's a day-by-day thing, moment by moment, day by day. take a pause, take a deep breath, do whatever you have to do, but we got to keep on forging ahead. And we are, you know, shifting the narrative one person at a time, one child at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to
That's right.
up.
Absolutely.
And so, thank you, Simeon, so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Anytime,
right.
anytime.
Right.
Have a wonderful day out there in Sacramento. And you all have been watching Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Laster, National Parents Union. If you have feedback, comments, or questions, you can reach out to me, Christina at mpunion.org. And if you didn't catch the information to get a hold of the guests, you can always, you know, follow up with me. I'm more than willing to share that information with you. Goodbye, America's beautiful children. I hope you're all well. I hope you're thriving. We will see you again tomorrow. Same place, the National Parents Union live on Facebook. Same time. Bye-bye. Have a great day.